This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Helping you find emotional, spiritual, and physical balance. What does your future hold? It's time to find out with Psychic Suzanna.
Yes, you are right where you want to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Now, you know you can always find us at PsychicSuzannah.com, where you get a free question, you get my schedule. You go to KFAB.com, and you can find all the shows up there. Also, join me on Facebook. If you're my Facebook friend, Susanna Stickney, or Life with Psychic Suzanna, you're going to know what's coming up this week. And we've got a very interesting week for you that may empower you to live healthier and happier as you go along. We've got a couple of people from the Heart Association here. Actually, we have Jayme. She is with the Heart Association. She's going to come on in a little bit telling us how we can keep our heart healthy. We want to do that. Very interesting thing happened. I was with my cousin, Teresa, and last night we went to the play at the Playhouse. It was phenomenal. It is one of the best plays. What was it called again? Chicago. Come up to the mic. Okay, so Chicago. So Jayme's, we're after our interview, our first book interview that we're going to have coming on in a few minutes, said she wants to bring a woman who is had a heart attack. And her name's Debbie Massey. And let's talk survival here, because she was in the show last night that I saw at the Playhouse, which was dynamite. She played one of those people on Murderous Row, so she was hot and good looking. It was very good. Come to find out in our little talk before the show that she was in Gypsies 2 years ago. And her heart attack, are you ready for survival, kids? Her heart attack happened when she was in the show, not on release, and she came back to the show 4 days later. Is that not something? We're going to talk to Debbie Massey. I'm pretty excited that I have one of the ones on Murderous Row here. I'm just so excited about that. I went home and kicked all night. I really did. I worked on my kicking. You should have seen me around the bathtub. It was a little nerve-wracking, but there's bars, you know. If you can get to Chicago, it is a phenomenal show. One of the best talent showcase I've seen this year in the Playhouse. It was just phenomenal. And I don't say that a lot because I go to the Playhouse a lot. I love live talent. By the way, if you have live talent, please let me know. I'd love to come visit you, bring you in the studio, let you promote it a little bit. We're about Omaha. Omaha's king. KFAB is the place you find out everything about Omaha. And so stay tuned here. Right now, we're going to go talk to a lady who has written a book. And she has, and the reason I got the Heart Association in here is that she wrote a book called The Best Worst Thing. Now, what a funny title. And The Best Worst Thing book, memoir, is about a very young woman in her early, I think it was 30. And her husband, well, you'll hear the story. You're going to want to hear the story. Hear the story about survival. Hear the story about strength. You know, we forget that within us is a magnitude of strength. And when you're called to it, you get it. So you have to believe in the power of who you are and when what is ahead of you. I mean, to think she's kicking in this thing and just a couple of years ago had a heart attack. I'm just amazed. My God, that Chicago play was great. All right, let's go to Kristen Brown. We're going to take a little break, come back with her interviews. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna. You stay tuned tonight. We're going to help you get better in every way you want. The show is centered around keeping you healthy, happy, and on the road to goodness. All right? We'll be right back.
This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB.
This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You can always find us at psychicsusannah.com, KFAB.com, where you can listen to the show that we're doing right now. And also, please join us on Facebook at Life with Psychic Suzanna. That's where you get a preview of what's coming up this week. And Susanna Stickney, both on Facebook and Twitter. I try to give you an inspirational thought every day. You're going to want to be part of this show, because this show is all about helping you grow through your life and to giving you answers that might help you, empower you. And today's author is going to be someone quite different. The author is going to be from someone who has written a book called The Best Worst Thing. And I want to welcome to the area Kristen K Brown. Thank you for being with us, Kristen.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Now, first of all, The Best Worst Thing, and it's a memoir.
Yes.
Do you want to explain that title to us and how it came about to being?
Yes. Well, The Best Worst Thing is a memoir about the loss of my husband. My husband died at the age of 30 of a heart attack in his sleep when our daughter was just a baby. And so that is what the worst thing means in the title. And because, of course, I hope that is the worst thing that ever happens to me. And the best thing, though, has been the journey that I've taken since then and the life transformation that I've gone through as a person, as a mom, as a citizen of the world since his death. So the best in the best worst thing is really what it's done for my life to make me a better human being.
Would you be where you are now if you hadn't had that worst thing happen?
No, I absolutely don't think so. I don't think I would be a bad person by any means, but I don't think I ever would have been pushed out of my comfort zone to discover that there is more to life than where I had been before.
Explain that. Tell me, where had you been before?
Well, I was doing what most people do. You know, I got married, I had a career, I had a baby, and but I was pretty selfish. I was in my own world, and, everything was about me and what I wanted for my own little circle, which is good. Of course, we all want the best for ourselves and the best for our family and friends. So that's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all.
Not at all. And when my husband died, I was just knocked completely out. I was numb for 3-4 months. I didn't know what to do. I was completely lost. The entire future that I had planned and dreamed for myself was suddenly gone. And it was a trip to surf camp, which was a little bit crazy, that really made me realize that I could do more than I ever thought I could do.
How did the trip to surf camp come about?
Yeah, well, I had a friend who was quite a traveler, and she invited me to go, and I have no balance skills, so I really had no business being on a surfboard, but something in me just said I needed to do this. I needed to get out of my comfort zone. I needed to get out of this fog and get out of my house where I had been living. I'd been working, but was really just in a really dark place, and so I went. You
almost run on automatic, don't you?
Yes, definitely.
When something tragic happens in your life, I think you almost run on automatic you only did it for 3 months. I think it's about a year.
Yeah, I would say that too. It was a year that I really, maybe even 2, that I just kind of went through the routine and did what I thought I was supposed to do.
Now, when did you start writing this book, or were you writing as you were going through all of this?
Well, I've always been a closet writer my whole life, but never really intended on publishing anything. I did it for fun, for therapy. After my husband died, I didn't write a word for 3 months. And then December 10th, 2008, it would have been, I remember starting to write. And I still have that journal entry, and I really wrote it real time as I was going through this process of healing and starting my own businesses, and writing the book itself was part of the process of writing the book itself. So it was a real-time writing of the book.
So this book actually is quite sort of like a little thing of what do I do next? How do I bring myself out of the fog? I'm really excited to have you on air with us, Kristen Brown. We are going to take a little break. Kristen Brown wrote the book, The Best Worst Thing. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna. We're going to be right back with Kristen, and we'll talk about her struggle to come out of the darkness and what lessons she has learned. This is Life with Psychic Susannah. Stay tuned. We're growing together. This is Life with Psychic Susannah on 1110 KFAB. We are talking today with an author who wrote the book, The Best Worst Thing. Now, isn't that an interesting title? Interesting title. And we're talking to Kristen K Brown. If you're just joining us, Kristen wrote the book as a memoir of her struggle after the loss of her husband at 30. Tell me, Kristen, in this struggle, what you have gone through in writing this book, tell me what you want us, the readers, to get out of this book.
Well, really what it is I wanted the book to be, something that my daughter could read later on, because she's only 4 now. She was just a baby when my husband died. Mm-hmm. So I wanted her to know why her mom is the way that she is now. And mm-hmm. 2, most importantly for other readers, is that I want people to understand that no matter what terrible, challenging things that we face in our life happen to us, there is always a way out of it. And it's not an overnight thing, but you can always take steps to move forward in a positive way instead of being paralyzed by negativity.
Mm-hmm. So in your thing, you started by a friend invited you to a surf camp?
Yes,
go through me that process
camp.
here. You're living in your darkness, okay?
Yep.
And your friend invited you to a surf camp. And now you're a little klutzy, correct?
Absolutely,
okay.
Extremely klutzy.
And so, how old was your daughter when you went to the surf camp?
She had just turned 1. So she stayed with her grandparents, and I decided I needed to just go and spread my wings and try something crazy.
Okay. Tell me about the lessons that you learned after going to the surf camp.
Yeah, well, when I was being knocked around in that water and so scared of drowning out there, I just realized that there is more to our existence than where we're at the present moment. There's always more we can do, more we can learn, more we can be, more we can teach others. And I really set about a course of motion that after that trip that really has changed my whole life. I started volunteering for the American Heart Association so that I can help other people become aware mm-hmm. of heart health, even for people at a young age. My husband was 30 with a clean bill of health. So people need to be their own advocates, whether it's health or whatever it happens to be. I realize we do need to get out of our comfort zones. We can't just get so stuck in the chaos of everyday life that we forget to really live. We need to do fun, cool stuff and really build our own stories of our lives. And that's kind of really how I've moved forward as I've started a business and done this whole crazy book journey. Mm-hmm. is we're here for more than just ourselves. We can help others live better lives too.
There's also a lesson that Wayne Dyer talks about getting the bigger picture.
Yes.
That when you face life and death, you get the bigger picture, and the clothes on the floor in the bathroom aren't that important.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes, I totally believe in that as well. And I do a lot of speaking, and I can't tell you how many people have come up to me afterwards and said that it has been the big, scary changes in life that have pushed them to realize that there is a bigger picture that we can all be a part of and understand more effectively.
So you went back to your writing. Now, how cathartic do you think writing is? I suggest journals to a lot of people. I suggest writing out your thoughts and feelings a lot. How has it helped you?
I think the one thing that it does is it helps you to work through what you're feeling without feeling like someone is judging you if you're talking to them in person or you're talking to a therapist. It's really a confidential, private way to work through your feelings without that fear of that judgment. Mm-hmm. So it helps you figure out what it is that you feel.
Now, have you ever gone back and looked at your old journals? How long have you been journaling?
Oh, gosh. Since I've been able to write, I have notebooks full from junior high with all my little puppy love stories, and
How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? to
I love
catalog your thoughts and your feelings. And so the best, worst thing is a memoir, which is telling you how all of us can come back from tragedy to find life. Is that correct?
Definitely, and doesn't have to be for someone who's lost a loved one. It's for anyone going through any type of challenge, so that you do realize that you can move forward in a positive way. And this book, I've gotten so many positive reviews and emails, and it did hit the bestseller list the day that it came out. And I have been so moved by how the book has moved others. It's a really important book.
Isn't it wonderful? I always say it's not what you do for yourself that counts, it's what you do for others. And to have to go through the tragedy to help others is probably not the best thing in the world, but it is what it is, and all is in divine order, so we're going to surrender to it. Tell me about your self a little bit. Now, do you have a blog? Tell me how our listeners can find you.
Yes, if you go to Kristen K Brown, Kristen, the letter K, Brown like the color, KristenKBrown.com, that will link you to everything. You can learn about the book. I also have a website called widowmommy.com that helps other widows and
Mommy?
Widowmommy.com.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a company called Happy Hour Effect, which is a stress management company where I have stress management training and speaking, and I have a website and blog and Facebook and Twitter where every day I post free stress relief tips and really just help you to minimize stress and maximize life. So if you go to Kristen K Brown, you can get to all of that.
Minimize stress and maximize life. What a wonderful statement. What a wonder. Minimize stress and maximize life. I love that. Well, Kristen K Brown, thank you for coming on air with us. This is the author of The Best Worst Thing, and also a couple other things. So look her up. You'll find all the information you need right there on the web. And we'll be back. This is Life with Psychic Susannah on 1110 KFAB. Okay, we're back. That was a very exciting interview with Kristen. And can you imagine at 30 having your life being turned upside down? And it's not what about the problems that come in our life that count. It's what we do with them. And how we handle the problems is what really is our testament to life. And with each breath, we have the power to do things. Please look her up. The happy hour thing is a really great stress releaser. So you might want to check that. But right now, we're changing the schedule completely because I have in the room with me two wonderful women. First of all, right after the break, and Kathy, I see you're online already. We are going to be taking your calls, so please feel free to call at 1-800-543-1110 or 558-1110. Jim will put you on hold. As soon as we're done with the interviews, we'll come back. We're going to be talking about your future and what's ahead for you. But I want you to know that this book has power to help us to relieve. But let's talk about that journaling and other things. Very, very important. The reason I'm bringing our little Debbie Massey on is because Debbie Massey impressed the heck out of me last night at the theater in Chicago. She was one of those wicked women in jail. I love that. I've been doing kick-ups since then. And then for 2 years ago, when she was 37 years old, she had her heart attack in the middle of a play called Gypsy. Welcome to the show, Debbie Massey.
Thank you.
Tell me what you want to tell us. First of all, how did the heart attack happen? Because you were in a play. You're physically fit. You do everything right, it looks like, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell me the story.
Well, I actually, I'm a dance teacher and choreographer. That's what I do for a living. So just with that said, you can, assume very likely that I live a very healthy lifestyle. I eat right. I get plenty of exercise. I don't drink. I don't smoke. And so with all of those things combined, you would think that I would be the last possible candidate on the face of the earth to ever face having a heart attack. And even I thought that. And so when you live the kind of lifestyle that I have always lived my whole life, that type of disease doesn't even cross your mind to begin with. It doesn't even come into your universe. And so the evening that I had my heart attack, it's like my whole world changed. I was, like you said, I was performing at the Omaha Community Playhouse that June in the show Gypsy. We were 2 weeks into our run, and my heart attack happened on a Monday evening, which was one of our 2 nights off from the show.
Interesting.
And I happened to be over at my parents' house that evening, just having dinner and just visiting with my mother that evening on my night off. And I had been over there for about 3 hours, and we were just doing some little busy work, just helping her clean up down in the garage. And I started just feeling kind of odd.
Odd?
Just odd was.
Okay.
And my mom turned to me and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I think I need to sit down." And so I sat down for about a minute, and then I'm like, "No, I need some fresh air." And so she's like, "Okay, well, let's go outside." And I walked up through the house on my own power, sat out on the porch. She brought me a Sprite and a bottle of aspirin. And she says to this day, I don't know what made me bring you the aspirin, but something in my gut just said, maybe she should take an aspirin. And when she handed me the aspirin, I looked at the expiration date, and they had never been opened, and they were expired. And so I refused to take one.
Wow.
Later that evening at the emergency room, I found out, expired or not, I should have taken the aspirin.
The aspirin. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because aspirin is one of those medications that help, I think, stop a heart attack in its tracks, or at least lessen the symptoms.
Wow. Wow.
So anyway, my symptoms that evening were that I had some bearable yet uncomfortable pain in my upper left arm, my chest, and my neck. And I describe it like a blood pressure cuff squeezing that just wouldn't let go.
Oh, beautiful.
That's
beautiful.
what it felt like, exactly. And after about 5 minutes, it released and it went away. And I immediately started feeling better, and I'm like, "Oh, Mom, this feels better. Let's just give it a couple minutes. It's just nothing." About 2 minutes later, it came back again. And I started processing in my head, something just isn't right. I'm one of these people who, when they get
Thanks
sick,
a lot.
I just kind of ignore it and, I'll just go home and I'll sleep it off, or it's just stress, or I'm tired or something. But something in my gut was telling me something just wasn't right. And maybe we should go get this looked at, even though I felt, this is ridiculous. You're probably fine.
Right.
So at the same time, my mom's like, "Well, do you think we should go have you looked at?" And she was very calm, and I immediately said, "Yes, I think we do."
Wonderful.
She put me in the car. We drove to Lakeside Emergency Room within 30 minutes of this happening. I walked in. I said, "Hi, here's my symptoms. I feel really silly because I'm feeling pretty good right now." And they took my hand and they whisked me back into the emergency room as soon as I told them those symptoms, because bells were going off in their head. They knew what was happening to me, even though I did not.
Wow. Awesome. Tell me what it felt like to realize you had a heart attack at 37. I mean, that's got to be a kicker because, again, a choreographer, a dancer, I mean, my God, you don't have 2 extra pounds on you. It's just, so how did it feel knowing that you were living the right lifestyle and you had a heart attack?
I felt very much at a loss, like what could I have possibly done to prevent this? And it took several hours and batteries of tests, because the doctors on call that night and the cardiologist on call could not figure out why a person my age, a person my size, a person of my activity was having a heart attack. And they actually didn't even tell me that it was a heart attack until the next day. With the symptoms I was describing, they wanted to get some medication in me and try to get the symptoms stopped, because they had an awful fear that I was going to have a worse second heart attack later that evening.
Wow.
So they were trying to stop it. And if they would have told me that that's what I had, they were fearful that just the stress of that could have thrown me into it. So I actually didn't find out I had a heart attack till the next morning.
Wow. We're going to come back with you a little bit later, but is it about time for her to sing us a song?
I think
you
so.
know, you cannot have a singer come to my studio without someone singing. Ready?
This is All That Jazz from the show Chicago.
Okay, let's hear it.
Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town and all that jazz. I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down, and all that jazz. Start the car, I know a whoopee spot where the genie's cold but the piano's hot. It's just a noisy hall where there's a nightly brawl and all that jazz.
This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. This is the place you need to be. Tonight we're talking hearts. We're going to help you figure out how to be heart healthy. You can always find us, by the way, at PsychicSusanna.com. That's where you get a free question, you get the schedule, you get to be my friend on Facebook. Oh my God, I love Facebook. I get to go on when it's your birthday, say hello. Oh God, I love that, and give you a prediction. Facebook is the coolest thing. That's at Susanna Stickney, our Life with Psychic Suzanna. Please go to KFAB.com. You're going to hear this show. You might want to send it to anybody that you feel needs some inspiration about heart health, because I got to tell you, my Debbie Massey did it for me already, being a heart attack survivor at 37, and she'll